From evergreens to palm trees, I began my journey into night, quickly thrust into a new world of abrasive colors drifting off fluorescent light bulbs and squawking animals, each exuding an odor that belonged to no one else but them. The smell of tobacco, sweat, semen, and the bitter red taste of blood hovered over us like a pungent fog, each scent combining in the air before intruding into my nasal cavity. Like a group of uninvited guests knocking on my open door, I had no choice but to let them in. The day had been hot, and the sun had brought out the animal in all of us. Weather has a way of doing that. As the temperature climbs, so does the rate of crime, both coinciding like troublesome twins, only courageous enough to act out when in each other's company. They were always inseparable, and today was no exception. Immediately after boarding, an argument made itself known. Both men circled each other like primates, standing taller with each word that shot out of their mouth. The tension escalated, and their words became sharper and louder. Their faces grew closer, their chests puffed out like frigate birds in the spring. Red in the face, these two were ready for battle. Much to my disappointment, the security guard managed to break them apart before either of them was able to get a lick in. Unamused, I turned back into my seat and reached for my bulking bag filled with fruit, books, and a marijuana cigarette, a survival kit provided by the friends I had left behind. I had everything I needed, and although I had been eager to leave, my heart still ached with the thought of being away from them for so long. I was not only leaving them, but a honey-hued dream state of freedom. It had been my first time away from home, and the change of scenery included a break from the suffocating grasp of my parents' hands. They were protective, afraid of how the world would affect me, and in that way I understood them. I was thankful, appreciative, but I had craved nothing more than the sweet taste of independence, and I had engorged myself in it that summer. Like all the things laced with sugar, it was addictive, and to no surprise, I was hooked. I spent the summer in a quiet town below the mountains, only miles from the gray-colored sands of the bay. Each morning, beams of sun would enter my room by way of a large window, taking up almost a third of the entire wall. This room faced the east, and it lit up entirely after sunrise, so there was never a need for artificial lighting. Everything was prettier filtered by the sun, and as it kissed my face, I would lay on my bed in the silence of the morning. Occasionally, a cool breeze would sweep in and caress my brown skin, leaving it with ridges of goosebumps. It was summer, but because of the altitude, the city stayed cold throughout the year. This was an accepted truth, but one that I myself could not confirm. Each day spent in the city, I felt the warm embrace of heat, cloaking me from head to toe, leaving the skin on my forehead wet and the tops of my cheeks red. Perhaps the sun followed me here, a fiery angel sent by my mother to watch as I danced around the lonely streets and hiked up the Emerald Mountains. Or perhaps it was global warming. Either way, I lived those weeks with a blissful ignorance, a coping mechanism to shield me from myself and my thoughts, from myself and my actions. I do not react to things the way others do, and the simple knowledge of something terrible sends my mind into a never-ending treadmill of made-up cause and effects, looping in my ear like a scratched record. It was summer, my happiest time, but America was transitioning into darkness, walking backwards on the timeline of progression, and it scared me. My country's future was cloudy, like a room filled with smoke drifting off a joint in my hand, and instead of worrying about it, I inhaled that smoke and coughed as it lifted me past my own fears, away from the world and onto a higher cloud.